Drink with James, episode 123. Tim and I were just laughing. It is Halloween. We randomly have filmed the last 2 years on Halloween, and I don't really go too crazy with the costumes. Obviously, I woke up this morning. I said, what can I do as a costume and still just wear a suit? And I remember that F. Scott Fitzgerald had this stupid hairstyle. And so I looked up some photos. I was like, I can pull that off. And I parted my hair down the middle, which it doesn't look enough like a costume to actually be a costume. So it was kind of embarrassing walking to work and having people look at me and maybe think that like, this is actually how I think I should be wearing my hair, which is not the case. I do not think you should be wearing your hair this way. But I am F. Scott Fitzgerald. I don't know if you guys have read his book. Have you heard of it, The Great Gatsby? Anyway, hopefully you guys are having a good Halloween. I know all of my goth influencers out there are very excited. They're probably on costume number like 14. This is a very big time. This is if you're like a goth influencer, this is the Super Bowl for you. This is it. It doesn't get any better than this. So, to all of you out there, I hope you had a good Halloween. That's all I have to say about that, I guess. Is there anything else going on? Oh, when you watch this, it's going to be Monday, which means tomorrow is Tuesday, which means it is election day in America. So hopefully, obviously, you're voting. That is a kind of bottom line, baseline. Ideally, you're voting. Hopefully, you've joined Influence the Election. If you haven't, you can still do that. We are asking influencers today on the 5th, the day before the election, to just spend the day talking about voting, why it's important to vote. Hit pause on doing sponsored posts, talking about clothes, things like that. Take a couple days off, talk about voting. This is a historic election during historic times. Just today we have Trump out there talking about trying to, get rid of birthright citizenship, which is, he has no legal authority to do, constitutionally or otherwise. So the point is kind of moot. But the fact that he's even talking about it is just another example of why we, as Democrats, hopefully most of you are Democrats, need to take back the House, need to flip things to try and rein in the Cheeto monster from completely ruining the world. So hopefully you're voting, hopefully you're talking about it, and hopefully this week we are celebrating. If the Democrats fuck up this election, I don't know what. It would be like me, boxing Mike Tyson and winning. If the Republicans pull this off. This should be a layup for us, but the only way it is if all y'all get out and vote. So please do that. Let's jump into questions. Question number 1 is, in your opinion, do you see more new influencers or has it plateaued? We get this question a lot. Can a new influencer make it? Is it too late if I'm starting out today? And I've used the Rolling Stones as an example before, but let's use the Rolling Stones as an example again. Rolling Stones and the Beatles rose to fame at the same time. They had, different kinds of music, but they were incredibly dominant in the music scene for a long time. Did anyone raise their hands, throw them up in the air and say, well, that's it, no new music, we'll never have another popular band again, the Rolling Stones and the Beatles exist, so we might as well just hang our fucking hat up and never create any new music ever again? No, of course nobody said that, because that would be a fucking ridiculous thing to say. And it's ridiculous to believe that new influencers cannot get popular, cannot rise to prominence today. Do other people have a head start? Yes. Are they vulnerable? Absolutely. The world changes, and it's hard to see those changes from the top of an industry. And I think that, in a lot of ways, the only way to kind of see where things are going a lot of times is being on the ground level and, scraping around in the mud, and trying to figure out and make it work. So, there will be new influencers. There will be influencers who, dethrone, as it were, those influencers who are at the top right now. And a lot of those people probably haven't even started an Instagram account yet. So it could be you, but probably time to get to work and stop complaining and thinking that there are no new influencers and I can't make it, because you can. I mean, look, we have, I talk about Tezza all the time. Well, no, I think Tezza is a good example of just a couple of years ago, she was just like a micro influencer or a photographer, growth has been crazy. Look at, I just think that there is always a chance to kind of find your way to the top. What other influencers have kind of grown recently? Another good example is our friend Double Exposure down in Atlanta. I think she grew a bunch probably a year ago, but she's on all the campaigns with the kind of big influencers who've been around for 5 or 6 years. She came out of fucking nowhere, was doing something a little bit different, and has captured some attention and has been able to put herself on that level with everyone else. Right now she's on a trip with Proenza for their Arizona fragrance, I just noticed. And she's there with all the big influencers. A year and a half ago, no one really heard of her. So I think that there are stories out there of people who have been able to, catapult themselves into that upper echelon pretty quickly. So next one could be you. Question number 2 is, has Fohr worked with accounts that want to heal to get to a place of Fohr Verified Reach? We don't do anything to, so let me step back. One, if you've applied, thank you. If you've gotten your verification, congratulations. If you haven't, don't despair. There is a way to fix it. And, in some ways, it is easier to fix than the way we used to do verifications, where you would actually have to go and purge your bot or, inauthentic followers to be able to get that verification. A lot of what the verified reach is built off of is the reach impressions, saves, engagement numbers from your business Instagram account. So you want to focus on reaching more of your audience. The easiest way to get verified is to increase the amount of your audience that you're reaching. And you may throw your hands up and say, well, I can't do anything about that. The algorithm hates me. We've said before, the algorithm is not predatory. It doesn't just pick people it doesn't like and make sure that nobody sees their content. It doesn't hold grudges. It is an algorithm. It's an equation. I think it's a pretty fair equation. Content that does better in the first few minutes of posting gets served to more people, gets more engagement. It is a very simple cycle. I was just in Prague last week. Most of my posts got, I think 500 likes. One of them got 1,000. That one that got 1,000 got double the reach. Now, if I actually cared about this and I was like, okay, I want to figure out how I can get, create content like that that's going to drive that kind of reaction every time, I would probably grow a lot faster. So there is a way to fix that. If you didn't get verified, you can take a couple months and you can come back and reapply. Just drop us an email to support and we can clear your account and let you try again. So focus on those reach numbers, focus on trying to get your content in front of more people. Yeah, in general, the amount of followers you have is going to become decreasingly important over the coming year and years, especially insofar as your relationship with Fohr is concerned. We are essentially deprecating follower count as the number that we're using to figure out what we're going to pay people and what we're reporting on the success or failure of our campaigns. So we're using reach and impressions and saves and things like that to come to those numbers. So, I would encourage you to stop obsessing about your followers and start obsessing about how many of them you're actually reaching, because that's going to be the metric increasingly that matters. And if you're reaching a large percentage of your audience, Instagram is going to serve that content to discovery more. So you're going to get more followers. It's all a cycle. If you just focus on that number instead of the follower count will come. So you don't have to do loop giveaways, and you don't have to do all this bullshit. That doesn't actually drive real, authentic growth. Focus on your reach numbers, the rest will come. So. Question number 3 is, let's say you have a specific content focus, beauty, fashion, whatever it is, but you're interested in all of these other things. Should you be posting about that? How often should you be posting about things that you're interested in that are outside of your initial focus that you started the account for? We've talked about this a few times. I think you are a dynamic, interesting, hopefully multifaceted person. I think that if you're interested in something, you should talk about it. I think you shouldn't expect your audience to initially and immediately be interested in it as well. I think you have to give them a reason to listen to you. If I think that you're great at beauty tips, and I love what you're able to do with makeup, and I love, the way you do your makeup, and I follow you for that reason, I don't instantly want to cook the things that you're cooking. That's not why I followed you, so I don't care. But you made me care about beauty, so presumably you can make me care about cooking as well. You can make me care about your workout plans. You can make me care about your children. You can get there, but it is not a given. You don't just have the same authority in those other verticals that you have in the vertical you've been working in for years and years. So, you have to roll it out slow. You have to be consistent. I think you have to do more explaining. I would use longer captions to talk about, to try and set some authority and let people know you actually know what you're talking about. What I hate is when influencers feel like, oh, I'm a fashion influencer, but there's a lot of money in beauty, so now, boom, I'm a fucking beauty influencer. And it's like, well, no, you're not. You're a fashion influencer who is trying to make money hawking beauty products. There is a pretty big difference there. So if you're going to go into another vertical, I would, 1, not do any sponsored posts for at least 6 months. 2, make sure you know what the fuck you're talking about. That's really the only 2 things I would focus on. Spend 6 months trying to build trust with your audience and actually get them to believe that you know what the fuck you're talking about, and thus they should listen to you. If you get there, once you get there, go make your money once you have their trust. Go work with brands. But it's not going to work if you just, jump into another vertical to make money, or because your growth has stalled somewhere else. You have to build that expertise. You cannot influence someone if you don't know more about that thing than they do. That's, that's the kind of long and short of this whole world, right? You are not going to be able to influence someone if they don't think you know more than them, because why the hell would they listen to you otherwise, right? So think about that. That's all. Look, it's Halloween, and usually, New Yorkers just go absolutely apeshit for Halloween. They love it. It is a very fun but difficult and trying night to go out here in the city. I don't feel great, so I'm not sure that I'm going to go out. Also, I don't know that I'll go out with this like, you know, hairstyle. But no, I think I am gonna go ride my bike and see if I can nurse myself into a place where I can destroy my body later tonight. So wish me luck. Cheers.